I think to read to the Lighthouse at the age of 70, after having read it at the age of 16, is a very curious experience, really. Because reading that novel was, what shall I say, a watershed experience for me, reading that book at 16. I wonder, of course, I wonder why it was so important to me then. But reading it again, I realize a few things. I think, first of all, it's about a family having a vacation on the Isle of Wight, I presume. And I guess it spoke to me because as a child, we went to the Lebanon Mountains for vacation. And it was a time of Shangri-La for the whole family. We camped out on the terraces, grape terraces, and my grandparents had a stone house at the top of the mountain, and that's where they cooked the meals. But meals were brought down to one of the stone terraces where we had tents, and there we ate. We slept in the tents, and we played, of course, all day long. And from those mountains, you could see the ocean, the Mediterranean. And of course, it was a coastal town, a coastal city. Beirut was a coastal city. And I could see the Mediterranean from my bedroom window. I would see the changes in the ocean. So somehow, when she talks about the lighthouse light coming down and hitting the water and hitting the house, when Mrs. Ramsey's knitting and the kids are all on their way to bed, this somehow I understood very much. Life by the water and all that that means. And I guess what really is amazing to me is that at that age I seemed to understand Virginia Woolf, what she was saying about how things look different at different times in the day or just after waking, and the way she paints these pictures. When she says here, she looked at the steady light, the pitiless, the remorseless, which was so much her, yet so little her, which had her at its beck and call. She woke in the night and saw it bent across their bed, stroking the floor. But for all that, she thought, watching it was fascination, hypnotized, as if it were stroking with its silver fingers some sealed vessel in her brains, whose bursting would flood her with delight. She had known happiness, exquisite happiness, intense happiness, and it silvered the rough waves a little more brightly as daylight faded and the blue went out of the sea, and it rolled in waves of pure lemon which curved and swelled and broke upon the beach, and the ecstasy burst in her eyes, and waves of pure delight raced over the floor of her mind, and she felt, it is enough, it is enough. Well, that I guess touched me because of the lighthouse in Beirut at the end of the point, and because you could see the steamers go and come from the harbor out. And as a child, you could sit on the edge. There was a sort of a cliff where we were in the summer that went down, and the city is right next to the Lebanon Mountains, and of course the hills are barren. They're not like, they are here with trees and all. It was just grapevines and fig trees and olive trees. And you could see, therefore, the sunsets. And there was a place where you turned the corner to come around to where we had our summer place. And I used to watch the sun setting. And every time you made another hairpin curve, you could again see the sun changing its shape as it set. And that seems to be one of the images that I remember. So there's something about the imaging of this summer place in the Isle of Wight that reminded me of my childhood, certainly. There's this on page 33. First, the pulse of color flooded the bay with blue, and the heart expanded with it, and the body swam, only the next instant to be checked and chilled by the prickly blackness on the ruffled waves. Then, up behind the great black rock, almost every evening spurted irregularly so that one had to watch for it, and it was a delight when it came, a fountain of white water. And then, while one waited for that, one watched on the pale semicircular beach, wave after wave shedding again and again smoothly, a film of mother of pearl. It's this description which first caught me. It seems to me that these are things that you know you've felt, but you've never worded them, and they